Hi, it's time for another thought, and today's contributor is somebody who was with us at the Salvation Army in Felixstowe just before our nation went into lockdown. His name is Matt Levitt, and he works for the diocese, so for the Church of England, for St Edmundsbury and Ipswich, and his role is working specifically with young people and young adults. He gave the most brilliant message just before we went into lockdown. So if you haven't seen that or you don't remember it, you might want to have a look on our church website. Look in the sermons archive and you'll see Matt Levitt's name there. It's really worth a listen. But today, I'm going to hand over to Matt. As always, I'm confident it'll be a brilliant message. So here's your thought for today.
Well, hi there, church. It's good to see you. My name's Matt. Have you ever played the children's game hide and seek? Yeah, of course we have. I guess we all have, young and old. Maybe you've even played it recently as you've been thinking of things to do with the kids or the grandkids. You know what? I believe that hide and seek is God's favourite game of all time. And I believe that he plays hide and seek with us most days of our lives. You see, most of the time, he's the seeker hunting us out. And if the truth be known, we're often the people hiding. Hiding because perhaps we're ashamed or perhaps we don't want to deal with him today. Perhaps we're doing stuff that we know that he wouldn't want us to do. But that's okay, because he keeps seeking us out. But you know what? Sometimes, just sometimes, I think God's the hider. He doesn't hide from us in difficulty or in failure or in poverty or suffering or sickness or in unanswered questions of faith. No, he's not absent in his hiding, but he's hiding so that we have to seek him out. And it's in the seeking that we learn something more of him and we learn something in our faith. Because sometimes God can seem so far away. It can seem like he's distant. It can seem like he's forgotten us. Maybe you even feel a little bit like that in these unusual times. Maybe it feels like you're playing hide and seek with God, but just can't find him. That can feel desolate. It can feel scary. It can feel like you're in a desert and everywhere you look, it's just sand. And it's hot and it's tiring. And you really feel it, don't you? The desert is a dry place. Nobody goes to the desert for a sense of refreshment, do they? Deserts are inhospitable. They're not easy. They're not comfortable. And deserts are incredibly silent. There's no background noise. There's no TV, no phone, no music, no distractions to lessen the pain. And of course, deserts are perhaps where we come face to face with our weaknesses. Can we cope? Can we survive? Deserts can be incredibly lonely places. But you know what? I've come to believe that the desert is God's place. It's a truth that's echoed throughout the Bible. Somehow, deserts and wilderness experiences seem really important to God. I don't know if you've noticed how much of God's plan seems to centre around the deserts. Noah before the flood, desert all around. Israelites escape from the desert region of Egypt with Moses and they head into the desert. John the Baptist eating locusts and wild honey for 40 years in the wilderness deserts. Even Jesus himself tempted in the wilderness. So many of God's people seem to be prepared in the desert. And as you read those encounters, it's about preparing their identity and their purpose. Maybe as we grow as Christians, we need to learn not just to endure the desert, but to revel in it. Not in some kind of masochistic embracing of pain or hurt, but to see the bigger picture beyond it. There's this amazing verse in the book of Hosea. Hosea is a story of a guy God called to marry a prostitute, even though she would betray him. And it actually happened. But it's also a picture of Israel and God, and maybe even us as a church and God. Hosea 2:14 says this: "Therefore I am going to allure her. I will lead her into the desert, and I will speak tenderly to her." Wow. You see, Israel couldn't hear God because of the busyness of noise and disruption that was going on in their lives. And God needed to do something to attract their attention once again. Israel needed the quiet, the lonely, desolate desert to hear once again God's tender voice. So God allured her. It's an unusual word, that, isn't it? But it's chosen deliberately. God beckoned Israel. He seduced Israel. He charmed Israel. He allured Israel into the desert region so that he could speak tenderly once again to her. And her time in the desert made her strong. And you know, deserts don't have to just be sand. It could be financial worries. It could be relationship breakdown. It could be a coronavirus. As I end, what I want to say is I readily acknowledge that these times can be terrible and frightening and worrying for people. But they can also be a time of great beauty, where things could be seen and heard and experienced that perhaps we would never have seen before. Maybe if we allow ourselves to be plunged into the wilderness and to stop, we might hear God speaking tenderly to us. Because, you know, beyond the Exodus, beyond the desert, lies a land flowing with milk and honey. But you only ever get there by going through the desert. So set down your coffee cup, put away the remote control, stand up loudly and challenge the rest of your house right now to a game of hide and seek. Cover your eyes and start counting. 1, 2, 3. Coming, ready or not. And then laugh as you explore and see what God might have to teach you in this desert time. Amen.